Danger can wear any disguise, even one that we are taught is a safe and trusted uniform. I've always found solace in night drives. As an 18-year-old, I got in the habit of driving when I got nervous from stress at home with my dad. I'd go out and wander the roads with no particular route. The hum of the car on the road, the music on the radio, and the wind from the open window relaxed me. In my mid-20s, I was married and had a colicky baby. I tried everything to get her to sleep, walking back and forth, rocking her in my arms until I thought they would fall off, and she cried and cried. Only when I snuggled her into her car seat and drove did she fall asleep. I can't tell you how many times we did this. It became our routine, and as she fell asleep in the back, I continued to talk to her. It was a happy time to unwind from the stress of being a newlywed with a baby and still having a work schedule. But one night, things became very scary. I was driving with Susie in the back. She had just fallen asleep when, out of nowhere, blue and red lights came on behind me. I wasn't speeding, and there was no other traffic on the road at this late hour. I was hit with a spasm of anxiety as I had never been pulled over by police before in my life. I turned on my signal and pulled onto the gravel shoulder of the road. The patrol car stopped behind me, its high beams blinding me in my mirrors. I was disoriented by the light's intensity on such a dark night in the middle of nowhere. At the same time, my intuition was telling me something was not right. You know that feeling you get in the pit of your stomach? Why here? Why now? In the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere? I watched in my side mirror as an officer approached my driver's side but stayed behind my view. "Ma'am, exit the car with your hands up." What the hell? I've done nothing wrong. "Ma'am, exit the car now." I could see that the officer had a gun aimed at me. I reluctantly complied, thinking this was one big mistake. "Slowly walk backward towards the back of the car," he shouted. When I reached the back of the unmarked car, I could sense a second officer was present. He shouted, "On the ground, hands stretched to your side." The first officer disappeared, and the second said, "Don't move." And he too stepped back to the unmarked patrol car. Then I heard squealing tires and felt gravel spraying over me. A second later, I looked up, and both cars were tearing down the highway. I had been carjacked. My baby was asleep in the back seat. Total panic enveloped me. My cell phone was in the car. I cried in desperation and fear for my baby. I sat on the gravel shoulder, powerless and stricken with terror, wailing my eyes out. What could I do to save my baby? I sat there for 10 minutes before I saw the lights of a car approaching. I crawled to my feet, raising my arms in distress. A car with an older couple pulled over and I bawled for help. "My baby has been stolen in my car." "Get in," the elderly man said, and he pushed his Buick to the red line. We flew down the highway in pursuit. They didn't have a cell phone, but the woman said her husband would do his best to catch the carjackers and unwitting kidnappers. We careened down the road for about 4 miles when I saw my car with its lights on off the road in a cornfield. The driver's door was open and the engine was running, but the fake cop was gone. I ran to the car and Susie was screaming in her car seat. I was so relieved. I cried and took her into my arms. Her colicky cough and sobs were so welcomed. The couple drove me home, where my husband called the police and a report was made about 2 fake policemen carjacking unsuspecting victims. The impersonator carjackers were never found. The experience left me with a deep-seated fear and a reminder that danger can wear any disguise, even one symbolizing safety. I was driving through Indiana on my way to Chicago from Columbus when this scary story happened. It was after 1 a.m, and I was past Indianapolis. I stopped for gas and a coffee and got back onto Interstate 65. The highway was deserted except for a truck heading south every 10 or 15 minutes. I didn't see anyone in the northbound lane with me. It was empty. My urge was to speed as the road was dead straight. Not a curve, turn, rise, or dip, just plain straight. But my good senses told me to lock into cruise control 2 miles an hour over the speed limit, as the highway patrol knew that urge and looked for those drivers this time of night. A little before Lafayette, an unmarked patrol car pulled fast behind me and hit its white and red lights. I pulled to the emergency lane, rolled down my window, and waited. A patrolman approached my window and said, "Drivers and registration." I was annoyed that I was pulled over because I was only 2 miles an hour over the speed. There was zero traffic, I didn't change lanes, and the weather was clear and dry. What the hell was he stopping me for? I'm a cautious driver and have never had a ticket or accident. This didn't feel right. So I said, "Before I give you my license, what have you stopped me for?" As I said this, I looked closer at his uniform, and I didn't see any badge, name tag, or arm patch that identified him as an officer. He was wearing all black, and I couldn't see his face as he kept his flashlight in my eyes. I said, "Are you a real cop?" He said, "Part of an undercover task force, license and registration." I didn't know much about police work, but I knew that was a lie. My groggy mind started to wake, and I was struck by the flashing red and white lights on his car behind me. "Where is the blue light?" raced through my mind. "Get out of the car, miss," he demanded. He was already opening my door, having pulled the lock himself. This was terribly wrong, and I knew I was in danger. I threw the car into drive and hit the gas, screeching tires and spraying gravel. The fake cop bumped down the side of my car before landing on the road. I was letting my Camaro roar, no longer caring about the speed limits. I don't know what that guy was driving, but he was on my bumper in a flash. He was threatening to run me off the road. I pushed my car as fast as it would go. I said out loud, "Siri, call 911. When the operator asked, "What is your emergency?" I said, "I'm being chased by a fake highway patrol. He doesn't have a badge and his car only has a red and white light." She instructed me to exit at Lafayette, and a police cruiser would meet me on the exit ramp. But when I got to the exit ramp, the fake police weren't behind me. He turned around and took another exit into the city and disappeared. I knew my suspicions were true. He was a fake. What he intended for me, I don't know. Was it a robbery, a carjacking, a kidnapping, or something worse? Was he alone? Were there others in the car? I couldn't identify the man as I never saw his face. I had no idea what make the car was, only that it was black and very fast. I'm glad I trusted my intuition, which may have saved my life. My family owns a vacation home in New Hampshire, built by my grandfather in the 1960s. As kids, we went there in the summer for hiking and kayaking, and in the winter for skiing and snowboarding. My uncle and his kids also came, and there was plenty of room for the entire family with bunk beds. We celebrated the 4th of July and Christmas every year there for decades. It was always fun with my cousins. However, the cabin was seldom, if ever, used in the autumn or spring. I know that autumn colors are spectacular in New Hampshire, and it wasn't a far drive from Boston College where I was studying. It was my sophomore year, and I was dating a great girl in my class. When I told her stories about vacations at Highview, the name my grandfather gave the cabin because it sat high on the mountain with a spectacular view for miles, she said, "Let's go for the weekend. It'll be very romantic, and the leaf color is at its peak now. Let's go, take me, please." How could I resist? And I have always wanted to see the view over a fall-colored mountain from the cabin. So, that weekend, we drove up to North Conway. We arrived in North Conway and stopped to shop so I could show her the town. We had a macchiato at a cute coffee house and 10 minutes later arrived at the gate to Highview. The gate isn't locked. We just keep it closed when the cabin is vacant. It's a little deterrent to keep people off the property. We have never had any problem with break-ins, theft, or anything. I exited the car and closed the gate behind us so we wouldn't be disturbed on our romantic weekend. My father and uncle keep the property well maintained with a caretaker who cuts the dead wood and keeps a good supply of firewood ready for our wintertime fireplace and hot tub. After showing Margot around, Margot was from Cape Cod, so she was enthralled with the mountain cabin and its spectacular vistas. I filled the hot tub with water and lit a fire to heat it. My dad had built the hot tub to take in the view and the night sky. He designed it to be heated by wood because he liked the fire's scent when relaxing in the hot water. But it is more work, and you have to plan to build and maintain a fire. But it's very relaxing, and it was romantic that weekend. While the tub heated, we decided to walk in a yellow wood, just like Robert Frost, the New Hampshire poet, wrote. We returned to the house as it got dark, where the hot tub was now toasty warm. We stripped down and settled in, leaning our heads back to take in the stars. It was cold, and the evening air was dead still. Then we heard it. The crunching sound in the forest below us. The sound of dried leaves and brittle sticks crushing and snapping under footsteps. Instantly, we both thought, bear. There are a lot of bears in this part of the state. We quickly climbed out of the tub and entered the house for safety. We turned the lights out because we thought the bear was attracted to the light. I peered out the kitchen window, expecting to see a black bear in the summer garden. Still, to my shock, I saw the silhouette of a human walking towards the house. I ran to the door and bolted it. I put my fingers to my lips to signal Margot to be silent. We heard the footsteps walk around the house, and then there came a knock and a man's voice. "Police, open the door." I was bewildered by this, as there was no police car in the driveway. So I asked through the closed door, "Is there a problem, officer?" The male voice replied, "We have a break-in report and I'm here to check on you. Open the door." I spoke through the door again, saying, "I'm uncomfortable opening the door. The cabin isn't visible to any neighbors, and the caretaker knew I was coming." Something wasn't right with this, was my gut feeling. I stood at the door for a few minutes and heard the footsteps going down the driveway. Margot and I checked that all doors and windows were locked. I loaded the shotgun Dad kept in the bedroom closet and put it under the bed. We closed the blinds, locked in the bedroom, and watched a Netflix movie. We fell asleep after midnight, but I was reawakened by a scraping sound. I lay motionless, listening. It came from our bedroom window. I got out of bed and lifted the blind, putting my face to the window to look out. What I saw dropped me to the floor. I had come face to face with a man with a screwdriver trying to open the window latch. He definitely saw me. I rolled on the floor to grab the shotgun from under the bed and pumped a shell into the chamber. I was mad with rage, not fear, and ran out the kitchen door, discharging the gun into the air, shouting, "I'd better not see you," pumped a second shell into the chamber, and discharged it into the night. Adrenaline pumped through my veins with each blast from the barrel. When I was confident the fake cop was no longer on the property, I re-entered the house. The adrenaline rush that supported me wore off, and fear grabbed me. How stupid was it to storm out of the house barefoot, wearing only my undershorts, blasting away with a shotgun like Rambo, and leaving Margot inside? I should have called the police and stayed barricaded in the bedroom. To continue, click above.
Subscribe.